This is video number 2 from Pick Computer Science, when we take another look at the Little Man computer and this time ask what is what in the Little Man computer. So we'll take a look at what there is to be found on screen and also how we can write, edit and save code. So we'll look at how to do that for both machine code and for assembly language. So in the Durham University implementation of the Little Man computer, we've got these various things on screen. The large repetitive set of boxes on the right hand side, the mailboxes, this is the equivalent of our computer's RAM, random access memory, with lots of, well, 100 memory addresses where instructions and data can be stored. After that, we also have our 5 CPU registers represented on screen, one of which is called a counter in this version of the LMC, is our program counter. We also have our MAR, memory address register, and our MDR, memory data register, and they are part of what we call a little man, which will zoom around the screen doing its different jobs. The closest to a representation of the CIR, the current instruction register, is also in the same area of the screen, and it's the bit that says little man. Our 5th register is the accumulator, and it's called the calculator, and it's positioned at the top in this version of the LMC. Also on screen we have places for the user to be able to input data and also to see any data that is output. So the equivalent of anything that you'll find in the vast majority of computer programs, something for a user to be able to input something and for them to be able to view the output. We also have the console at the bottom left, which talks to us really about every single step that the LMC does and feeds back results of executions of cycles. We have the buttons down at the bottom right hand side, which allow us to either step through instructions one step at a time, or a full fetch execute cycle, or to run a whole program. We can reset, we can toggle whether the animation shows or not as part of running a program. We can exit the program. We can also open something called the assembly editor, which we'll talk about more in a moment. And we've also got some menu options up here, which we'll look at more closely shortly. If we were to examine the York University implementation of the Little Man computer, we'd find that most of the things we've just looked at on the Durham version are here in the York version, but maybe in slightly different places. We've got the RAM, the mailboxes, over on the left hand side there. We've got input and output. We've got 4 of the 5 registers. There's no real equivalent of the CIR in the York implementation, which is maybe another reason why I prefer the Durham implementation. We have a equivalent of the console, which is called a message box here, telling us what's happening. We have buttons to step through programs or to run them, to halt them, to reset things. We have more buttons here and here. So how about handling code, programs that you've written that you want to execute with the LMC? Well, we'll start with machine code. So these are the raw numerical values for commands that you might want to execute. With the York University version, the only way to code with machine code is to enter those numerical values straight into the mailboxes that appear on screen. With Durham, you can do the same, or you can load a pre-existing set of instructions that are in machine code. If you go to File and Open and find your LMC file, then you can see that's loaded up some machine code straight into mailboxes there. What does the inside of that LMC file look like? Well, if we open it in Notepad, there are various delimiters as part of this file, and then we see comma separated instructions written in machine code. You've also got toggles for your animation as part of that file too. With assembly code, if we look at York, we can type our mnemonics straight into the message box window and then compile a program ready to run. Or if we have that in a text file, we could copy it and then paste it in instead. So we could reuse saved code. With Durham, we've got two options. We can click on Open Assembly Editor down here, or go to File and Compiler here, and in there we can type in our mnemonics straight into here, but you have to make sure you do a tab first, and you'll see later why that is. You can then compile. You can view a compile log. We'll say no this time. You can see it's put in the right instructions in for that particular program. You can save these or load them from normal TXT files as well. So the insides of one of those TXT files would look a bit like this, just what we saw in the compiler. In future videos to do with the Little Man Computer, we will look at how CPU registers work whilst the program is running, and also we'll make the Little Man Computer do something useful. We'll write some programs that actually mean something.